And I worked in skate and snowboard shops in high school and college. And then when I graduated from college, I moved south and worked for Transworld, which is a media group focused on action sports and lifestyle sports. We're based in the Oceanside.
I grew up on the East Coast in Boston, and my dad made me get an engineering degree in college because he said if you study engineering, you could always get a job, which he was right about, but he didn't mention how boring the jobs might have been. And at one point I did an internship at GE Plastics, and they make plastics for everything. And this guy named Jake Burton came in one day and said, I want to redesign my snowboard binding. And I went to my boss and said, oh, can you put me on that project? Because I had a snowboard when I was a kid. I want to do something fun instead of like a washer and dryer design or a printer housing. It's like a snowboard binding was more fun. So I just raised my hand and said, can I do that? I started working with Jake Burton on that binding, and he offered me a job. And I went back and finished engineering school and called him up and asked if that job was still available. He said yes. And I worked there for 6 years until I blew my knee out snowboarding. Any of you guys snowboard? How many of you snowboard? Right? It's kind of hard to blow your knee out snowboarding. Yeah. It's easy to blow your knee out skiing because one foot can go this way and the other one can go that way. But on a snowboard, it's really hard. You have to be a really bad snowboarder to blow your knee out. And that's what I was. So when I was rehabbing my knee, I realized that I didn't know much about anything after making snowboards for 6 years. So I went back to business school. And in business school, I knew Chad through the snowboard industry. He whispered to me at a trade show, he goes, what do you think about watches? And that was his pitch. In entrepreneurship, sometimes you hear about the elevator pitch. And that was his elevator pitch to me. We joined forces. We took a look at making branded watches in the action sports space and selling them in specialty distribution stores like skate shops and surf shops and ski shops. We raised $1 million from friends and family and angel investors. And we grew it to a point where, well, right now we sell watches and accessories in 70 countries around the world. We have offices in France, one in Australia, in Hong Kong, and on Coast Highway in Encinitas, right down the street here. Two of my daughters go to school here in 7th grade and 9th grade, and so that's why we're here. What else? So you saw what we make, right, and who we work with. One of the things, I try to put myself back in your position. Well, you're not quite there yet, but like, what am I going to do with my life? And what am I going to study? And will it be really boring? Will I be making plastic printer housings for the rest of my life if I'm an engineer or not? And I don't know. I think in my life I was able to combine things I learned in school with things I did after school, and that's been ridiculously rewarding. It's really fun. I snowboarded 70 or 80 days a year for work, and went everywhere, all over the place. Southern Hemisphere, Europe, Alaska, Japan, to snowboard, to figure out how to make better snowboards. And so there is a way to combine the things you really, really like with things you're really good at school. Entrepreneurship. One of the things that I thought was true about entrepreneurs was that there are these crazy risk-taking people that flying around the world in hot air balloons and taking these unbelievable risks to change the world. And what I learned in business school was that entrepreneurs just manage risk. They don't necessarily take it on. And that really resonated with me. So when Chad brought me this idea of like, what do you think about making watches in action sports? Like, well, here's all the risks that I don't like about that. There's gigantic watch companies. The action sports is kind of a little bit teeny world. We've never built a watch. We don't know what to call the thing. I mean, there's so many unknowns that scared me as an entrepreneur. They didn't excite me. And I thought that entrepreneurs were excited by unknowns and excited about taking on outsized risks. But in business school, learning that, you know what, you just kind of manage the risk. Well, okay, well, if I know how to make a snowboard, maybe I know how to build a watch. If they're big, that might mean they're kind of asleep at the wheel, and we can beat them by being small. And wow, Chad's background in knowing all these athletes is something that our competitors couldn't really duplicate. So that's something that's a huge advantage. But that was a big milestone for me in terms of, I never knew I wanted to start a company until business school taught me that you didn't have to take crazy risks to do that.
Through my experience, similar to Andy's, I was able to look in the area in my life, my after-school life that I was excited about, surfing, snowboarding, realizing I'm never going to grow up to be the world champion surfer or skateboarder, but recognizing there's a whole industry, whether they make clothes or they make websites, videos, headgear, sunglasses, everything that you go to use to do your activity. Having the opportunity of being at the media company gave me exposure to all these different brands. That's how I met Andy, is I was in the position to go out and meet with each of the companies and help them work on their marketing plans. Well, in doing so, I was able to meet with a lot of the co-founders or executives of these businesses, seeing what their approach is and their style is, and recognizing, wow, here's an opportunity. I see what these other people are doing, and I don't see them as being any smarter or greater than I am or my friends. Maybe there's an opportunity to make something that's not already being made in the world. And that's when Andy and I reached out and connected to each other. So having that awareness of what I was good at and what I knew how to do, and recognizing, okay, I can't do it all by myself. Recognizing I've never built a product in my life. I've never run a company before. Here's someone I know who's built many products for a very successful brand and has gone to a great business school learning how to run a business. So here's a resource that I don't have, a skill set I don't have. Wow, it's a little bit, we talk about chocolate's really good, peanut butter's really good, but chocolate and peanut butter together, that's great.
So Chad just gave you my favorite definition of what an entrepreneur is. What if anybody want to offer, what's an easy definition of what entrepreneurship is?
Someone that has an idea or puts together a team to create an idea of a business, company, etc.
Yeah. Any other ideas? That's great.
Someone that builds up a product or a business out of their own mind.
Okay, definitely. Yeah, that maybe hasn't been done before. Similar to something new. There's a novelty in both of those. Anybody else? The easiest definition that I heard was somebody that connects opportunity with resource. So it could be business, or it could be something else. But as you heard Chad say, he's like, he went through, met with all these marketing directors, said, wow, there's an opportunity here. But I don't know how to build anything, I don't know how to start a company, I need these resources. And entrepreneur is, I think, the French for bringing things together. And there are always two buckets of resource over here and opportunity over there. So the idea of seeing opportunity but not having resource, having to go find that resource, that's entrepreneurship. Having a bunch of resources, knowing something that's in your head, going to find an opportunity for it, that's entrepreneurship. It's as simple as that. It could be business. It could be anything, really. Just sort of like if you've seen an opportunity, you don't know how to get there, or if you've got this skill or this thingamajig that does something, like where's the opportunity to use that? And Chad's living proof of being an entrepreneur, saying, okay, I see this opportunity, I don't know how to do it.
So would you say it's like an exchange, like for your example, you had the opportunity to think of a great idea that would go on something bigger, but you didn't have the resources, so you exchange the resources in order to share some of them, that opportunity and that idea. And you do that with multiple people, or do you normally do that from like one source? How did you, at least first start off?
There's different relationships there, right? You have advisors and teachers, and you have classmates. And so I have one partner, but we have many people that work with us as leaders, as managers and directors. And so you're finding different resources depending on what those needs are. We have retailers that sell the product, and we have a certain relationship with them, and a sales rep that works with us to help them get the right product. And we have relationships in other countries, say Japan or Australia, where we have distributors or direct offices. So a lot of different relationships, and you can decide. We've seen friends who have started a business all on their own. my idea, I have all the resources, I know how to do it all, and some are very successful. And we've seen others that have started with 3 or 4 or 5 different people. I think through our experience, we think one is too few, because it's great to have, with all the different questions and challenges you get as an entrepreneur and the decisions you need to make, you can think to yourself, wow, what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad. But then to actually vocalize it and say it to someone else and hear their feedback come back to you, that's a helpful model. When you have 5 people in that model, that's a lot of people, and trying to get everyone on the same page might be a lot harder. So it's really dependent upon you and the opportunity that you see, and can you do it all by yourself. When we started, we thought of what could this company be like in 5 years? How many people could really be working here? And what would those people be doing responsibility-wise? Marketing, finance, operations, sales, product. We made a structure, an org chart, where you have people's names and responsibilities for what they do. We made that for an organization of 50 people, but you know what? There was only 2 people at the time. So there was probably 45 boxes with Andy's name on them, and 5 that I had. But that's your division of power.
But before we did that, we did something. So I was lucky enough to see Steve Jobs speak when I was in business school. And he talked about finding San Francisco. Imagine you're in...
Does everyone know who Steve Jobs is?
He started this Apple company.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm
All right, level.
Yeah. And he talked about finding San Francisco. Say you and your bunch of friends are in Texas. And you say one day, let's go on a road trip. And everybody goes, yeah, road trip, road trip, road trip. You get in the car. Well, where do you go? Some people might want to go to New Orleans, some people might want to go to Chicago. Say, okay, we're going on a road trip and we're going west. All right, that's cool too. Like, okay, everybody, yeah, I want to go to California, let's go west. And you get to the border of California, and then some people want to go to LA, and some people want to go to Tahoe, and some people want to go to San Diego. He said, once you want to go on a road trip, talk at the very beginning about where exactly you want to end up. And his point was like, San Francisco. So if you're with a bunch of friends in Texas and say, let's all decide to go to San Francisco, then you can argue all day long about how to get there. Let's hitchhike, let's take bikes, let's take a plane, let's go north and west, let's go west and north. You can argue about all of that. But you will end up in San Francisco. And I think the first thing that we did was like, why do you want to start a company? What do you want to get out of it? What do you see? And that's a really good technique. If you ever have an argument with somebody, you don't understand them, ask them the question why 5 times in a row. Have you ever done that? Like, hey, let's do this. Why? Why? And you get down to really what people are after. And what Chad was after was building an environment that people wanted to come work in. Right? Our office is 3 blocks from the beach. You bring your dog, the surfboard rack. It's like, this is an environment that we want to go to every day, not have to go to every day. And that was the San Francisco that we had together. The other thing that I would say about a mindset, I know Pacific Ridge is big about mindset. Everybody has to read the Growth Mindset book, right? Talk about mindset. An entrepreneurial mindset, aside from just connecting opportunity resource, is a really delicate balance between humble and bold. Like, we got convinced that this was going to work. Really bold. But only after going to everybody saying, how the heck do you think we should do this? We have no idea how to do this. But once we asked all those people and did the homework, it's like, okay, now we can go out and actually we're going to be the best one in the world. Well, that's weird, because 6 months ago you didn't know anything, and now you're bold. And that balance of humble and bold has something that we worked on forever in the company. It's sort of like, okay, let's do this. That's pretty cool, but man, we don't know how to do that. And recognizing when you can be disruptive and powerful and confident, swagger, and when you have to really check yourself and say, I don't think we know how to do that. Or, you know what, we just got our clocks cleaned by the competition. And being able to switch gears like that is something that if you go down an entrepreneurial path, I think will serve you well.
So you got your idea, and you knew what you wanted to do, and you got like $1 million from investors, and you told them that this is what I want to do. But how did you actually do it? How did you go about going into a smart watch, just watch, normal watch, and then something?
That's a great question. So it turns out like making stuff is pretty easy. Because you're a customer. You go to a designer and say, I'm thinking about a toaster that toasts in 4 seconds instead of 45. I mean, how come that doesn't exist? I mean, how much time is wasted in America for toast? Shouldn't it be like 4 seconds? So you're like, I don't know.
They'd like to get their cooked bread faster.
Right, I know, think about that. It's like the FedEx of breakfast food. So you don't know that, right? So you hire a designer and say, hey, can you make this toaster for 4 seconds? And they say, yeah, well, it's going to cost you 25 grand to, use my services. Like, okay, here's 25 grand. Then you go to a factory and say, hey, I've got this toaster that toasts in 4 seconds. Can you make it? Oh, well, we've never done that before. We have to solve that problem, It's like, yeah, can you solve the problem? Yeah, okay, well, we'll do it for you if you give us a deposit and your first, 6 months of orders and pay us for that work. And making something that turns out to be easy. The hard part then is going to, where do people buy toasters now? Amazon? You'd be like, hey, can you put our toaster online? And like, what's so good about your toaster? We've got millions of toasters. I don't care about your toaster. Well, it cooks in 4 seconds. Oh yeah, well, how much does it cost? And blah, 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 and I'm not quite sure. And getting people to buy it is much harder than getting people to make it for you. So that was a harder job for us. If you go to a mall now, you go up to Bressie, you go to the store and you see something and you're like, this thing's too big or too blue or too expensive or too cheap or too flimsy, it smells bad. I don't like this product that's right in front of me in the store or on the first page of Amazon, right? I don't like that thing. You know what that thing has more than any other product?
It's on the market.
It's got distribution, right? It got there. There's millions of great songs out there that you guys have never heard, right? They're great still, but the okay song with distribution gets in your head. So the distribution is something that's really, really, really hard, and which is why I got excited about this opportunity at NIXON, because we knew, back then it was before the internet, but we knew the retailers and we knew the guys selling it, and we showed them prototypes and they got excited and we're like, okay, this is a business. So that's specifically true in consumer products. I don't know about software or services from a distribution standpoint, but in consumer products, like distribution is way harder than anything else. And you know what you do? You grind it out. You get designs, you put a backpack on, you go to Hong Kong, you meet with watch factories for days and weeks and months, and you grind it out until prototype shows up, and you show it to your partner, and he goes, this thing sucks. So you go back and you grind it out again. And it's iterative. The design thinking process is absolutely true in our case. It's like, okay, we did, we like to say product development's more like golf instead of basketball. Basketball, you take a shot. Goes in, doesn't go in. Golf, you take a shot. Only 18 times it goes in. The rest of the time, it just gets closer, and closer, and closer. And so product development, idea development, company development is like golf, right? Just get it a little closer. Okay, now we're a different shot. You need a different skill set. You get it, and ultimately we'll go in. I'm looking at my Instagram feed now. I'm really actually looking at my notes.
So what were some of your biggest sources of inspirations to become an entrepreneur? There must have been some people along the way that really wanted you guys, or that you really wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I think for myself, I grew up, my father was an entrepreneur. He had his own business. So I saw what that was like and how the work hard, work smart model. And then as I got older, once I landed into my role in Transworld, having the opportunity to just go and see, that was my business, was going out. His was snowboarding, mine was going out to the businesses and spending time with them and learning what a good leader looks like. And I think it was the environment as a whole I was attracted to more than an individual leader. I was able to take little bits and pieces from each of them. There wasn't one person who had such a profound effect on me that drove me to this my path other than my family.